welcome back to Downright Mindful. I'm here with Paul, and I'm here with Dr. Jones, the new principal at Walker Valley High School. And as you can see, our background and our setup is a little bit different. And that's because the wonderful Ethan Evers at Walker Valley has agreed to film this episode for us. So shout out to Ethan Evers. He is a man of many talents, and he takes my brain straight to that CTE world where, like, what a gift for Walker Valley to have a guy with his skill set that decided to come here and share it with students. And
just want to see it firsthand.
Yeah, just want to love on him and tell him thank you for filming this. But we are with, as I said, the new principal at Walker Valley, Dr. Jeremy Jones. How's it going?
It's going great. I keep telling everybody this, like, feel blessed to be here. You know, sometimes whenever I think you step into a new role, there's unknowns and there's things that people wonder, or technically, since I'm moving from an elementary school to a high school, people are like, it's bigger. You know, does that mean that it's automatically something negative or larger? But it's been exciting, and with different things and challenges that have presented itself, just continue to see how awesome Walker Valley is. And I mean it. Like, I'm so happy to be here and just want to keep learning and growing and honoring the community that's been established here.
Awesome.
Get specific then. Tell us something great, and then tell us something challenging. Give us
something great. I mean, the camaraderie amongst the faculty is pretty impressive. I think the way that they take care of each other, the way that they build relationships, because I think all of us up here are pretty specific about building those relationships and trying to create atmospheres where those thrive. Challenging is, I think, getting caught back up to speed. You know, there's a lot of new programs that are here compared to previously 7 years ago when I left. And so making sure that I don't get in the way. You know, as you come in, you sometimes feel a pressure like you have to maybe lead or leave a stamp on something. And I think that's kind of a false pressure that can come with leadership. But just coming in, assessing everything.
Is that legit for you?
Yeah, there's ways. Because people would ask the question, you know, what's your vision for Walker Valley? And the reality is, like, coming into this job, there's nothing that's wrong with it. I mean, it's thriving. And so my vision is to assess everything. Now, obviously, we're celebrating the 25 years, and y'all both know about that. But I think the challenge is how you gauge, how you get caught up, and how you make sure you don't get in the way.
Is that your elevator pitch? Is that what
That's my elevator pitch. Did that work?
Is that
what you throw that out there?
Is that really what you've been giving people in the community when they ask that question? I mean, does it
about the vision?
Like that? Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And I mean it.
Yeah.
Sometimes
because that's something that really unfolds,
mm-hmm.
right? You're casting that thing out there, but then there's all that tension trying to get to that place, and that's our day to day.
Yeah, and then there's a reality and knowing and being vulnerable and honest that, you know, nowhere's perfect. And so as I'm a part of this, and as I hear people's hearts or passions or where they want to take it, that, okay, this is an area of growth. And so, you know, as you navigate that and you assess it, it's a dance, but honestly, I like it. Yeah. So it's good.
You're a dancer?
No, I'm not a dancer.
Okay.
Anyone previously from Valley View, you know that. I am not a dancer at all.
If you're an elementary school principal, you have
to.
Either dance or, I don't know, what'd Ferguson do, the slip and slide or something? Did you ever see those videos? Yeah, we saw those videos.
If I dance, I'm going to do the cha-cha because it tells you exactly what to do.
Tells you what
Tell me what to do.
Left,
right, all of those things.
Yeah.
To honor your daughter, let's do some just do some storytelling. Let's have a little pattern here. You ready?
Let's go for it.
This is the trail we're blazing. Can you take us back to your first day at Valley View?
Okay.
Forget Walker Valley at the moment.
Yeah.
So, and your first moment, let's say in your office, where you have just gone, oh my word, I'm here. I am the principal here. What was that moment like? Can you get there?
It was scary. And it's kind of funny because I think sometimes when people hear the word elementary or that it's younger children, there's a misconception that it might be simpler. And so then as you begin, it's not true. That's not a knock. But I've always taught secondary school. And so then to have the opportunity to go in and lead an elementary school, playing catch up and stuff. But what was awesome about it is, so at the elementary schools across Bradley County schools, they do this big kickoff. You know, they're welcoming kids, they're celebrating them. And so my first experience of getting to see students was this celebration. And we didn't do that at the high schools at that time. It was literally the celebration of kids coming back, greeting them. So that was fun and exciting. But what was unique about it, so I'm 6'5", right? And I got these little elementary kids coming in, so I'm constantly kneeling down. How you doing? I'm your principal, Mr. Jones. How you doing? Yeah. And so that was fun. But
were those handshakes or were those like snotty hugs?
There have been some snotty hugs along the way.
Yeah.
You know, that's a part of it. I got sick more often being at the elementary world, so that might have something to do with those snotty handshakes.
Was it any advantage that you have married into elementary school education?
100%.
Your wife, your mother-in-law, right? Does it go further than that?
Those two especially. Yeah. So to my wife, Emily Jones, kindergarten teacher, 13 years up to that point. Kindergarten rocked my world. That was the biggest challenge, because I don't think people realize with kindergarten you have kids, humans, little humans, that some of them have never been to school. Some of them don't know how to do school. Some of them haven't had exposure. So on top of that, you have this whole class that you're teaching them how to do school. You're teaching them about procedures. You're trying to learn to know them, to get to know them. There's no history there with those kids. Kindergarten rocked my world, and my wife was fabulous. And I already loved her and respected her. She was an amazing person, but I went home regularly just like bowing down and asking her questions. And then to Kim Fisher, Dr. Fisher, my mother-in-law, elementary principal, literally 2 decades. One of the things about being a principal is guarantee you things are going to happen that you don't know what to do. And that's the biggest thing for anyone going into administration. You need to know you're going to have moments you don't know what to do. But the power of calling someone that has experience, that has knowledge, that has a rapport and a reputation. So I knew when I would throw things at her that what she was giving me was good, solid advice. So those two people were huge. Yeah. She was my cheat code.
Not a lot of folks get to call Kim Fisher and say, hey, help.
I fully acknowledge that, and she knows that.
Was there a time it was that way with Herbert Lackey as well?
So Herbert Lackey, whenever I first got the job, we drove out to Valley View, sat there in Valley View, and he just, for 3 hours, these real world experiences. And I still have the notepad. I mean, those legal yellow notepads, and I have like 6 pages of where I was just writing.
That's precious.
Yeah. Very fortunate, because my family is not educators. My dad is a diesel mechanic that became a manufacturing mechanic. Wonderful gentleman. Love him. Mom became a second career nurse, but education was not in our wheelhouse at all.
No.
So to the Lackeys and the Fishers, I feel extremely indebted.
Yeah. It's a big deal. What was that? Can you think of a moment? Because we know you were teaching and even an administrator at the secondary level, and then you went to Valley View. Can you think of that first moment where you were like, I'm not in high school anymore?
Yeah. So, I mean, besides the first kind of little glimpse of it was, so at the high school, we're walking around the hallways. We're giving fist bumps, right? We're greeting each other. We're having conversations. And it's a very fluid, students are going all over the place. At the elementary, I remember the first time a kindergarten class came walking down on the blue tile in a row, quiet, air bubbles, hands behind. And I'm like, hey guys, what you doing? Giving them fist bumps, high-fiving. And I look up, and a teacher, and I won't call her by name, but she's amazing, is like giving me the evil eye, staring me down. And I knew then, I was like, okay, I'm in a different world. So that was an interesting
What are you supposed to do in that moment? Just give compliments of how quiet they are and then just walk on?
Yes.
Is that what
yes.
Yeah.
Mrs. So-and-so, I really like how well your classroom is doing hallway procedures right now.
Yeah.
Those are great air bubbles. Look at you. I don't hear anything at all. And, in the high school, we're begging kids to make noises. We're, please talk to me.
Yeah.
But so that was one of them. And then there was an experience pretty early on to where sometimes, students can wonder. And we were just looking for a student, but we found them. So we found them. That was another moment to where it's like, okay, this is a little bit different. Oh, and then one more, and I've told this before, but the first day that kindergarten kids were going home, and they had these little necklaces on. And so they have these necklaces, and there's these big signs, and it has their street address where they live. And I remember watching them walk out, and I realized they don't know where they live. We have to make sure they get to their homes. And so that was a different dynamic than here. The bell rings and everybody goes home.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
So
I feel like this list is longer than 3.
there's all kind. There's some that we can't talk about on camera. And so that's just part of it. But
Yeah, that's one thing you wouldn't think about. Is like everybody, a lot of the kids in my school right now couldn't tell me their address. That's one thing that probably didn't cross your mind.
Let's back up. Before you were Valley View principal,
okay,
you were a Walker Valley administrator.
Mm-hmm.
Can you take us back to that first moment where you took a breath and was like, oh my word, I'm not in the classroom anymore. And in that moment, did you know that like administration is going to be the rest of the way? What was that kind of moment like of going, wow, I really made this decision and it's now real?
Yeah. So it's kind of tricky, I think, within our profession, because sometimes I think we're getting better in creating leadership opportunities into where people can be administrators or take leadership over certain areas. And even ironically, in my dissertation, when I was studying teacher retention, that was one of the reasons sometimes people leave education, is because it's kind of like you're a teacher or then you're administrator. And we're instructional coaches, all types of leadership roles we're growing in and stuff. But I say all that because I wasn't dying to get out of the classroom, but I was curious. And so the position came available, talked to Mr. Akiona, me and Mr. Borders were splitting a role and dipping the toes in the water. And one of the first experiences that I feel like I had that was kind of like, okay, this is a dynamic to it. I had a project that I was overseeing. It was the first time we were doing a practice ACT test. So it was impacting all of the juniors at that time because it was the day when the seniors take their test. And we got ready to give the test, and there was something that I didn't even think about that I hadn't fleshed out fully. And so you have all these teachers looking at you in that moment of what are we going to do? That was a neat little moment. In that moment, probably I felt anxious and I felt overwhelmed. But
did you problem solve in that moment?
We did problem solve, and we got it worked out. And Walker Valley was fabulous. But that little capture of that moment is a little bit of description of what administration can be. Because sometimes you think you have it all worked out. You think you have everything to where it's going to run smoothly. And then these moments where, oh, hold on, this wasn't thought of. And you got to adapt. And then how you handle that and how you interact with people is pretty crucial.
So you said curiosity somewhere in there. Like when you took that spot, was it really just to feel it out? Or were you making a known career change?
No, definitely wasn't making a known career because I need people to understand this. Like I love teaching. People that I taught with previously, we would joke because I would say I'm never going to become a principal.
Well, that's why you're a principal now, because you said things like that.
Well, yeah.
You said never.
Never say never to anyone that's listening to this. It'll happen. But the way that I personally believe that God sometimes ordains your steps, puts you in different things, even outside of education, and then parts start coming together. Like when we worked at Pathway Publishing House, I was in a little bit of kind of a management role there, which sometimes being an administrator or principal can be management, but I love teaching. And y'all are the same way. Y'all love the interaction with students. You love being with them. So started dipping the toes in it, and then I enjoyed that piece of it. And then as it kept presenting itself and then opportunities were there, then it was like, yes, I want to push into this. But initially, no. It was just to kind of feel it out and see what it would be like.
Side story, Pathway Press. You too? Were you there at the same time?
Yeah. We were there. We were on opposite ends of the building. It's not like we were shoulder to shoulder. Yeah, we definitely would see each other probably every day at some point.
He said he was in a management position. Did you ever get that high?
Supervisor might have been.
No, they did a pretty good job. Like with me, I had a clear supervisor, but I was an operator is what they called me. So I had 3 people who would always catch stock coming off of a machine that I've set up and ran. And I would say when they were very good at, here's a 19, 20-year-old guy or however old we were. And,
how old were you at that time?
Let's see. I think I'm about 3 years older than you, Matt. Is that correct?
2 or 3, I believe.
Yeah. So I was probably loosely about 21, 22.
Yeah. Right about graduation year, high school?
99.
Okay, 02. So yeah. But yeah, they would do a pretty good job of like Daryl. You remember Daryl?
I do remember Daryl.
Daryl Kaler, is that his name?
Daryl Kaler.
He was my boss, but
from the Navy.
He literally gave me some of the first lessons in management that I ever had came from Daryl Kaler, and they weren't what you'd think they were because of the character that Daryl Kaler was. You'd think, oh my word, but like one-on-one, sort of grooming a young dude to manage 3-4 employees that are doing things. He was very good at that. But yeah, they were good at taking us young guys and kind of grooming us up.
What was your job there?
So I was over the shipping and the curriculum distribution in the stock room. So it was kind of basically what in Matt's department that they would produce, we would then
we were
send
mailing.
it out.
We were mailing. So that's where I was. Yeah.
So I think like bulk mailing and stuff like that, the big metal carts.
Yeah, I didn't. I never handled a a church hymnal or anything like that. It was always like the quarterly and monthly magazines and things like that.
They didn't let you in there because you'd be stealing those hymnals. You'd be ripping
it's just a
pages
different-
out, stuffing them in your pocket.
Is that wrong? Is it wrong to steal a hymnal?
Is it? Why would you steal a hymnal?
Maybe I want to sing
Sing your songs.
Oh, well, yeah.
Memorize the pages.
I guess we could have a
You know this guy's
conversation
got,
on
he's got the
ethics.
hymnal pages
I guess.
memorized.
I
I do
do.
not. You
Try
keep
him
saying
out.
that.
Try him out. 407. What is it?
7. I don't know.
Yes, you do.
Honest
Just
to
say Old
goodness.
Rugged Cross and I would believe you.
Old rugged. No, I'm just kidding. I don't. When I was a youngster, reading out the hymnals all the time, maybe, but not now. No,
It's in you.
not now.
All right,
Hey,
Jeremy.
I just got done.
go.
I'm sorry.
Nope.
I just got done with a sort of a tryout process with some of my CTSO kids, Skills USA. And these are literally some thoughts I've had in the last 24 hours, because what you're doing is I've asked for volunteers from the best of my students and dwindled down to sort of the best of the best that want to go into the. Anyway, I said all that to say, as I finish this process, it's just this it's like gas in my tank, man, because I've challenged kids. They've met the challenge. They've exceeded my expectations. And it's after moments like that that I can breathe and go, God, man, I really love what I'm doing. So when you have those thoughts as a principal, elementary, now as a high school, what's going on that sort of is that gas in your tank?
For me, definitely community driven. And so anytime that I feel like we have people together and you see people operating in their gifts, you see people feeling comfortable, you see people having just a positive experience within kind of, I guess, the perimeters of education. And then when it's over, because a lot of times leading up to those things, there's a lot of preparation, there's a lot of questions, there might even be a lot of concerns. But when we have like community events and then we're done, I'm proud of it and it was fun to be a part of it. And then it makes me happy to think, okay, these people have been impacted from what we've done together as a team. And so at the elementary level, it could look a little different because it might be parent nights, family nights and stuff. You know, here it can go from all kinds of different things to even orientation, which might seem kind of simple, but you know what? We are welcoming some of these families for the first time to Walker Valley.
Oh, those are huge nights for families.
Huge, you know, and there's even like a little bit of energy that you kind of see within your people because we're kind of getting to interact like on a different basis, you know, and the day-to-day is great, but sometimes we're in the grind and sometimes we're kind of here, but we get in these different elements and different moments to where we're getting to interact in a different way. So definitely community events is one of those. Then I go home that night and even though I might be wore out, like my tank feels full, you know, so that's probably the things that immediately stick out to me.
So you decided to come to Walker Valley
Yes, sir.
from Ocoee.
Yes, sir.
So let's take you back to you're in your classroom at Walker Valley.
Yep.
You've come from Ocoee. You've made some sort of decision to get up here. Take us back to that moment of going, oh, my word, I'm no longer at the middle school.
Okay.
I'm teaching math at the high school.
Yeah.
Like, get us there.
And it's an interesting kind of process when you think about it because I wanted to come here. I pursued it, but it wasn't that what I had at Ocoee was bad. And for some of y'all to have context and stuff, you know, Paul and I worked together. It wasn't automatically that we taught on the same team because he was a related arts teacher at that time and I was a math teacher, so my team would have been more core. But we had different ways. We were working with the same kids and we had experiences together. Had a good rapport there with the other teachers. I had good relationships with the students. My daughter was getting ready to be in 8th grade. Like I came up here right before I potentially had the chance to have her in class. So when I chose to come here, it wasn't that Ocoee was bad or I wanted to get away from it, but I had always been curious, back to that curious thing, about high school. And there was a position that was available. I had another teacher from here that reached out to me. At first I said no, but then you start weighing things out. When would that present itself again? There is a dynamic. Hey, I get to be a part of where my daughter's going to be for the next 4 years. So then applied, got the job, and now I'm at Walker Valley. The first 9 weeks, it wasn't that it was bad here, but it was difficult because I had left friends that I had at Ocoee. I had left where I had a reputation. People knew me. I was familiar, and there was a lot of newness, and there was a lot of kind of having to rebuild. So the first 9 weeks, even though the freshman academy was fabulous, freshman academy here is so welcoming. All our academies are great, but I think the Freshman Academy does a great job of kind of pulling new people in. And even though they were doing that,
it has to be a unique experience in the Freshman Academy.
Oh, yes.
It kind of has to be run differently. It has to have some sort of different feel. I don't even know how to describe it, but I mean, you've got me thinking about this maybe for the first time consciously, but man, the Freshman Academy is this like transitional moment. We got to get this right so that they can actually, not only want to be here, but, continue on through coming into programs like criminal justice or getting into their own academy and owning it for themselves. But, yeah.
It's like a bridge.
The Burroughs and the
bridge.
Collins of the world. And like, who was the administrator when you came here?
Mr. Collins.
Was it Collins?
Yeah. And
Commissioner Collins.
They are the only academy here that makes it unique that technically for all 4-year students here see every student.
Yeah.
And so there's, I think, a uniqueness and a peace that comes with that. But it was good, but it was rough because with the newness. But then as I started growing and enjoying the new experiences, by the time we hit second semester, and I think we had a teacher talent show here that I got roped into that I had to dance. And Miss Borders, I think, might have been the one. I don't.
There is probably video evidence
tried.
that you dance. Hey,
Out of respect
can we pull
to
that
others,
up?
I don't want to make them feel awkward.
It's got to be.
Can we do this?
But yeah, by the time I got to the end of the first semester, it was like, this is where I want to be. And it was an awesome experience.
Yeah. How did that go over with your ladies when you came home and was like, I'm doing this? Or was this like a kitchen table experience where like we settled? Or did you make a decision and then like they
Emily and I were already talking
this.
about it. Haley, no offense to her, wasn't automatically that she was a part of the decision. Even though when it came time, this means that I won't be able to be your teacher most likely. But Emily's always been extremely supportive. That's one of the things, like, I can't really think of a time to where she might say, don't do this or please don't do this. She always listens. She always gives different points of view on it. And she's literally my biggest cheerleader. So we just talked about it, prayed about it, and then tested the waters.
Yeah. Because that is, I had that experience. Seth, my oldest, was in 7th grade when I came up here. And I was not seeking that job. I came here in the middle of September under certain circumstances. And yeah, that was a tough family decision, but there was something about just knowing. And middle school was my sweet spot, man. I loved it. Center of the teaching universe. And I still wouldn't say this is better. I always say this is different. And this different has been amazing.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to go back and teach middle school. But it was cool being here. And you know this too, Matt, of just being in the building when your kid is coming through. I mean, you got that graduation picture in your office.
It's such a special experience.
Yes, it is. To see them really begin to pursue some honest interests that they'll probably hold on to after graduation. That's really cool. And that's been cool for all 3 of us. And, Isaac is my youngest. He's about to graduate. And so, we'll get to say that moving up here really was a big deal.
Yeah.
And Sarah waited a whole year. And she finally looked at me and went, I didn't really want you to move. I really wanted you to be there for the middle school because middle school years are so awkward and hard. But I'm so glad we made the decision for you to go up there. And now here she is here at Walker Valley too, which she didn't. No way we saw that coming when you back up 10 years.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
I think it's interesting what you're talking about there a little bit, like between Ocoee and then also here, because sometimes duality or whatever we want to talk about, we're not going to go down that road, but that if you choose something different, it indirectly implies that wasn't good enough. And that's not the reality. Even coming from Valley View to here, I've thought about this a lot. I enjoyed what I had at Valley View and it was very special. But then also to have this other dynamic and that they can both be good and positive, and then time and seasons and all these things with our life, that we think about. But yeah.
You don't have to explain that to me. You ought to see the looks on my kids' faces when I was I was a detective at the sheriff's office, and then that was on a Friday. On a Monday, I was the criminal justice teacher at Walker Valley High School. So they always think that I hated something about it or something. And I'm like, no, that's one of the toughest decisions I've ever made in my life. And it wasn't because I didn't love what I was doing.
Right.
It's just because I had this curiosity and this pursuit that I was doing. And So yeah, I kind of get that a little bit.
Do you know the story of how you got here?
I don't
This
know
is one of
the
my
full
favorite
depths.
stories
We've talked
in
about
the
some
world.
different pieces
I'm going to make
to
you
it.
tell the story.
Well, and I was about to.
Do you know the story?
No,
already?
I want to hear more about it.
Which part?
Your interview with Nat. The night before.
Just the interview? So,
Yes.
okay.
He-
Yeah.
Shout out to Mr. Akiona.
Your current
Bless you.
principal needs to know how you were
Miss
hired.
Keir was in the room. Katie Dale Bonus was in the room. So shout out to
And
all
you
those people.
followed.
Doug Town.
Okay.
Yeah, Doug Town came for a semester and was like, I'm going to do something else. So I came in after that. I came in January. But I remember I was coming to my interview, and when I interviewed was at the same time that Doug Town was interviewed, that whole hiring process. But I'm coming in, and I've been out till like 3 a.m. I was a drug detective at the time.
Okay.
And I just remember one of my concerns was like my energy level is not accurate. It's not real. Because typically, especially in an interview setting, I don't want to drive the conversation, but I want to be there for it, and I want to be on top of it. Anyway, so I walk in and just sort of in an all shucks country boy kind of way. As I'm sitting down, I was like, y'all, please forgive me if my energy level's a little low. I was out till about 2 a.m. this morning buying heroin.
Time out.
I didn't mean for it to be funny.
Oh, it is hilarious.
I didn't
love
mean
that
for it to
story.
be funny at all.
This
But
guy for the interview.
I'm looking like Amy
know
Keir
what's
is like,
happening here.
Amy Keir's like, wait, what? So Mr. Akiona's like, okay, guys, let me explain what Mr. Paris does. Yeah, but yeah, it's
Because Nat knew.
Nat still tells that story every
Yeah.
chance
I love
he
it.
gets. It's one of his
So do
favorite
I.
interviews that ever happened.
That's why when you're around, I love when you tell it. So, yeah. So, it's, you don't get that every day. And
Yeah.
you've done some interviews. I don't know if you've got that interview
I've
portion yet.
no. I've never had that come up in an interview question.
But the humor in it didn't hit me until I said it.
You really felt that was a necessary comment to make, didn't you?
I was being as genuine as genuine could be.
So in your transition then, coming from being a detective and obviously a different experiences than what you then have had as a teacher, what talk about that a little bit, the challenge, or that as you made that transition, what was that like?
Look at this guy turning into the interviewer.
Yeah,
Sorry, is that
Well
wrong?
done. No, you did good.
That's a great question. First of all, I realized very fast that school had changed a little bit. I wasn't in the hallways somewhere else and sort of eased into a little bit of a change. It was straight from, from high school setting. It was Bradley High School 2002, fast forward to Walker Valley High School 2018.
Yeah.
Well, some things changed.
A little bit.
And one of my first days, for almost no reason, I had a girl in my class start crying. And you know how high school girls can be, high school boys even. She was emotional for this day for some reason, and I absolutely no skill set as to how to handle this. None. But in my mind, when I was in high school, there's nobody in the hallways. That was a pretty safe place. Was, hey, why don't you step out in the hall until if you need to get yourself together. And I didn't realize that out in the hall, there's quite a bit going on sometimes. So in hindsight, this girl's sitting out in the hallway crying, and there's all these people walking by just looking at her like, why are you crying? So little things like that, I kind of had to learn pretty fast of how to deal with that. Now it's not that big of a deal. It's what we do every day. But taking a guy that hadn't been in a high school in 16 years pretty much to putting him...
You were in that van.
These kids just came back from Christmas break, man. Hey, I'm Mr. Paris. How y'all doing? And so, yeah, there was a big challenge in a lot of ways. That's just a small example of how I had to sort of get used to that.
That's huge. I love hearing the retelling of these stories because, I've heard you tell that story before.
Yeah.
But, you were in street clothes with a partner in a van traveling around.
With a dog. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you got to deal with some crying teenager. That's bonkers because we don't tell that story.
No.
But it is a good transition to, okay, you are a middle school math teacher. Mm-hmm. So let's go back to you got hired by Ron Spangler. Is that right? And now you're sitting in your classroom. You're a middle school teacher. Did you ever see that coming if you backed up a little bit more. And what was that like? Because I know for me, I tell a story. Here's the shortest version of that story. I called home on day 1 to Sarah and said, I've made a mistake.
Oh, yeah.
And I called home on day 2 at the exact same time at lunch and said, yep, I know I made a mistake.
Yeah.
And then, oh my word, that's 14 years of my life that I would not trade because it became this other thing. What was day 1 like? Middle school math teacher Jeremy Jones.
So to give a little bit of to back up a little bit right before I got that job, my bachelor's is not in education. And so I had no education classes. I had enough credits in math at the college
You were a theology
level.
student.
I was a theology
You were,
student.
weren't you? Yeah.
Not as much theology, really more pastoral, which is a little bit more practical in some people's stuff. No offense to theologians out there. But
They're all
but
offended
mine
right
was
now, for
religion with pastoral studies. But then doing part-time youth pastor work, someone had mentioned, have you ever thought about also teaching? Because I knew I was supposed to be at the church that I was at, part-time youth pastor work, but it wouldn't feed the family. Someone said, have you ever thought about being a teacher? You get to be with students in another way. Love the idea. Passed the praxis, so technically I could come in on an alternative license, but that means it has to be a situation where there's not a certified teacher available. So it would be a last-minute hire. 2 weeks before school started at Ocoee Middle School, Ron Spangler called me because I'd already went out, gave him my resume and stuff, and he said, I have a position. Could you start? It's in 2 weeks. So go to that first day. Here I am, no education classes. 2 weeks ago, still working at Pathway Publishing House. And here are these kids. And then to even kind of wreck the nerves a little bit more, the door opens up and there stands the director of schools, Bob Taylor, who was also my elementary principal.
Yeah.
And I was like, here we go. What are we going to do? But there was definitely moments
Did
where
he come in for an observation?
No, just being a good director of schools. I'm sure Dr. Cash would do the same thing. Just going around in classrooms, greeting, smiling, just want to say I support you. It was very overwhelming. The first 6 weeks, I think they were still in 6 weeks then. Maybe they were 9 weeks. It was very overwhelming. And just because of, I think, anything new, I think even in that season of life, because being a young man, you haven't went through as many ups and downs. And so you're still trying to learn how to process when you feel overwhelmed. And so I would go home, and we lived in this little house that was at the bottom of a hill. It was all woods. I would go home and literally walk up into that forest and sit there for about an hour, 2 hours at a time. And just sit there. Because, okay,
Were you
what have
contemplating
I
your
done?
future? Okay, yeah. Like,
should I have done this?
Yeah.
What has happened? Why? But then, you start getting a rhythm. You find what it's like to be a teacher. You understand this is normal. These are some of the things. And then you start having those moments with kids. And that's when, and I'm sure for all of us, when you start having these connections, you start seeing ways that you're getting to contribute to them, they're contributing to you. There's an energy that anyone that's truly called to teaching knows. Like there's an energy and a joy that comes from these experiences. And I still remember with this girl named Sydney, the first time that I was teaching her something, and it was like I saw the light bulb go off. It had to do with fractions. She was struggling with it. I'm trying different ways to explain it, this and that. I mean, I'm still learning how to be a teacher. I'm taking master courses at night. And she finally got it. And I saw the change in her face. And it was like, man, this is awesome.
That is cool.
So,
yeah.
But yeah.
So hold on. Did you have a pastoral studies undergrad? Is that what you got your degree in?
Yes.
And you were able to pass the math praxis?
Oh, yeah.
Because
I'm just like that.
Okay, that's what I
I'm just
wanted you to
kidding.
say.
No.
You can't deflect that. I mean, no one does that.
No. Math naturally has been a subject I've loved, and it's come naturally to me, and I was strong in it. And I had enough college courses that I think set up kind of the basic conceptual knowledge.
Did you even have like a math minor at least?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And so that helped because the math praxis, for anyone that's taken the secondary math praxis, it's not an easy thing. But yeah. So,
wow.
Go math nerds. Right.
We didn't throw any signs up just now because we couldn't relate to what you were.
That actually isn't related to math, and people are going to be like, that was an awkward moment. Let's talk about awkward moments. We're going to drive this conversation a little bit more. So,
how about we do this? Recognize that we are not just educators and that we are humans, and a lot of times we don't get to be because we enter into a space that we're automatically the authority figure. Okay. So you're holding that girl in your hands for the very first time. I'm talking about Haley.
Yeah.
Tell me about that moment, since we're talking about that first moment of.
Oh,
So you got that baby in hands.
I still remember it. Because of a procedure that had to happen, I got to hold her before Emily got to hold her. So the doctor had to take her, and they had to make sure everything was okay and safe. And then he handed her to me. And the joy that I had. So our mothers were literally waiting right outside the door. I don't know for sure why they weren't in there. Maybe we should have let them in there. I don't know. But I remember all I could think is I want to show. And I went and cracked the door. You know, this is my baby girl.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was awesome. And you can't compare it to anything, right? And then I think it can be like, oh my gosh, this is my baby girl. But yeah, a joy that probably will never be matched in that dynamic.
Yeah. So you got this other girl in your life, Emily. Did y'all ever see yourself having more than one baby?
Earlier on, we would, talk about it and discuss it, but then due to the nature and the seasons of our life, we had Haley very young. And so Emily then had the opportunity when Haley went to preschool to go back and get her degree and become a teacher. And so just weighing and praying and eventually getting to a point to where this is where we feel that we need to be as a family. We talked about it and would have conversations, but then eventually settled on, for us, this is what's best.
Yeah. So did she go back to teaching? Were you still at Pathway Press, or were you teaching yet?
No, I was already teaching, and then Emily finished up her degree, I think 2 to 3 years after I started teaching.
So she got to take a glimpse of what teaching life is like day to day, and seeing you go up the mountaintop and wonder when you were going to come back down.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are crazy moments that we share with our women because, oh my word, we're just trying to find our way too, And that element, the human experience, I want to create learning environments where we can share it, but there still be that understanding of not just who's in charge, but who's, we say it a lot, who's driving the day. But like we show up every day in this building to hopefully take other folks somewhere where they haven't been before. And both of you have already said the word curious, and so do I a bunch of just like, I'm curious to where this could lead. So let me bring you back all the way to Walker Valley. Now you're in that office.
Yep.
The aquarium is gone.
The aquarium is gone. Thank you so much.
It is in my classroom.
I appreciate that very much.
And you've had this moment of, oh my word, I'm now back at Walker Valley. And I am the face and the voice of this learning community. What was that like? Because that's quite oh my word. We got married, we had a baby, we passed a praxis that we don't even have a degree for. We're making all of these decisions along the way. This is your next. We're in that moment. What was that like? And was it any different than all those other firsts?
I think it was unique because there's some things to where it feels like it's coming full circle. Naturally, I feel like the way I'm crafted in some form or fashion has been to be a part of teenagers' lives. Even getting into spiritual concepts of, is this what I'm built for? Is this how I'm called? Is it, and so knowing that initially I was going into youth ministry, but then it not going the trajectory. Sometimes if you go into a ministry for a degree, you think, I'm going to be a pastor. And there's nothing wrong with that. Please, as I say that, it's not to mock that. But then to go on down the road and to begin to teach and be with teenagers, and then to be a principal and get to lead, there's a very shepherding thing that's kind of principal-like. But then to come back around, and now I get to do that over 9th through 12th grade students. So it felt very full circle. The first time I even considered going into education, I talked to Mr. Coggin, and y'all have heard this before, but I talked to Mr. Coggin in that office now that I get to sit in and be the principal. And I remember talking to Mr. Coggin in the way that he was like, this is about relationships, and me thinking that's what I want to be about. Yeah. That now to come back around and have the opportunity to continue what he started in that role as a principal. And then even you made the comment about like to be the voice, to be the face. And I do acknowledge there's a dynamic that is the principle of Walker Valley. But I think one of the sole purpose of a principal is to make sure that I'm sending on and highlighting and showcasing the things that we are doing here together, the things that our students are doing. You know, even as I sit in this room right now, and I think students run this.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, we got to get that out there to people, because that's ultimately what it's about. It's not about that you are the face, but maybe the representation and the voice of all the things that are happening here. So it was overwhelming. It was humbling. It's exciting. There's a joy that is with it that I'm very thankful for. But I think also, as with anything, we have to try to stay balanced. And how do I honor this? How do I make sure that even I keep myself accountable to the opportunity that I have to do? So that's kind of where I'm at in the transition from maybe the first time I was in that office.
Class of 99, did you think that you would be in this town for this long?
No.
Did you ever see yourself going somewhere else?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Why do you think you didn't?
I think just life and circumstances, and then as you have different things that presents itself, what's best for my family, and there's something to be said about this community and this place, you know, and maybe sometimes as a teenager you don't respect it for what it is, but then as you get older and as you go through different situations and you realize the value that's even located in your hometown.
It's a pretty cool place.
It's a pretty cool place.
I ain't born and raised here. We talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Buddy, we probably got 3 or 4 minutes left. Make sure that you throw something in there that you made
3 or 4 minutes.
I mean, I don't imagine us going all the way
All right.
to the end, do we?
I'm
asking.
Let me just throw a question out there. I don't know.
Because I still want to ask the preacher man something.
Okay.
There's a preacher man inside of here.
Okay, well let me get through one little thought, and it may take a second, but Bradley Junior High School, standing out beside the building, waiting on a ride. I can see a skinny kid that can make a hacky sack dance, man. Is that you?
That's me, brother.
Do you have a number of like how many times I've kicked this thing without dropping it?
I remember the first time I was like, I gotta get beyond 100.
Okay.
And that was a pretty big deal. But
That's
then,
what you should have did for the talent show.
Okay, so this is no joke. So at Valley View, we started having a talent show again, and I have no talents. I don't sing. I don't dance. This guy can sing.
You have talents I'm about to get into, but keep going.
This guy just took you back to junior high, so be
I
aware.
was
I'm
going.
taking it
I was this close to kicking a hacky sack in front of my elementary student body, but then we ran out of time with the talent show, and all these kids had signed up, and it was like, there's no way I'm taking this kid's time.
All right, so hypothetically, if I handed you if you brought your well-broken hacky sack with your favorite pair of shoes,
The pressure is on.
Can you still work it pretty well?
I definitely cannot work it, and if I get to 10, I might be happy.
Okay.
I don't believe that.
All right, so
We're going to test that.
all right, so let's follow me here. We went from Walker Valley principal all the way back to Bradley Junior High School. You know who we interviewed last on this program?
I don't know.
Derek Kinsey. Do you know Derek?
I feel like I should know Derek Kinsey, but at
He's
the
the
moment,
he's the
it's going
director of the
blank.
Boys and Girls Club.
Okay.
You and him would be instant best friends. He lives on 31st Street.
Okay.
You know where that's at?
Yeah, I know where 31st Street's at.
Okay.
Now this is getting a little bit creepy.
Okay, so the first
Remember,
place.
he's a detective.
Yeah.
He knows these
Yeah.
things.
Well, I also was an elementary school buddy of his little brother, and that's where I start bumping into this guy. But I remember Mr. and Mrs. Jones. It's Randy, right? Mm-hmm. What's your mom's name again? Patty. I can remember as a little kid, they were the sweetest, nicest people to me. Your dad could have played a role on like Leave It to Beaver or something.
Listen,
like he could have been
true.
could have been the old school sitcom
is
dad
so
who
true.
was just well rounded, well put together. So take that thought all the way through. I'm going to put you on the spot here. They bring in Jeremy Jones to Walker Valley High School, and I've mentioned this before when we talked to Adam Ferguson. And when people saw you walk in, people stood so genuinely and clapped, not because what they came from was so bad. It wasn't anything like that, but because they were celebrating who you are. Yeah. Okay. And now, as someone, and you and I know, we haven't never been like best friends or anything, but I've bumped into you in a lot of stages of life, and you've always had that smile on your face. You've mentioned some great educators that you've been fortunate enough to be able to learn from, all the way from Herbert Lackey to Mr. Coggin. But they didn't instill that in you. Do you give credit to Mr. and Mrs. Jones?
Oh, 100%. And I'll tell you what's interesting in this dynamic, because I think about it, because I'm so fortunate to have them as parents. The concept of creating space for people to come and be themselves, and they accept all people. Like, that's huge to me. Like, all people. And then the concept of work, and this is an interesting dynamic, because I remember my dad, like, you know, if you see someone working on something and in that moment you're able to get in there and help them, get in there and help them. Do not just stand there and watch them. And so there's principles of how we create a safe space for people, that we love them as they are, that we get in and help. We don't just expect them to do it. That are dynamics to how I want to be as a leader. But yeah, hands down, my mom and dad are the most influential people in my life. And what's this weird, I appreciate the Lackeys, the Fishers so much, because truly they are amazing pillars in education here. But if there were ways for Randy and Patty Jones, I'm about to start crying, I'm not gonna cry, to be honored, you know, they're fabulous. So.
Well, I wanted you to hear me say that, and hopefully if they get to watch this, they get to hear me say, even as a little kid, they impacted me, and just,
That's awesome.
They were some of the first people that I noticed of like, man, they are so just genuine and nice. And so it's not a surprise to me, fast forward a lot of years, their son walks into a room full of professionals, and they stand and cheer at the thought of who he is and what he represents. And I just wanted to honor you with that, honor your parents with that.
Oh, man, I appreciate
What an
that,
awesome
brother.
legacy. And it's no shock to me as a guy who's known of you all my life that this is how you turn out to be. That talent, that's something maybe Mr. and Mrs. Jones can teach it, but I haven't figured out how to teach that quality in somebody. So kudos to you guys. Kudos to them.
Listen, that I can't explain to you what that means to me. And I think we all, in a way, want to honor people that poured into our lives or made us who we are. And my mom and dad truly are. And so sometimes as the oldest, maybe, or we try to work ourselves to death of how do I honor them and recognize them. And so for you to say that, like that, even in a weird way, is a gift to me. So thank you.
Yeah, and they'll never know that I felt that way if I don't say it to somebody.
Yeah.
But even at 7, 8 years old, I remember thinking, these are the sweetest people I've ever met. Paul,
Nah, I love it. That's a great way to just like bring this thing to an end.
are you going to ask the question? I've got you all the way back to 31st Street.
That was not a chance in the world. I'm touching that right there. This is what we do. We try to get to these places where we honor people's stories, and every time we get into our own story, we're just honoring other people. I love, him and I sit down sometimes. It's just him and I just yapping. It's fun. Who knows where it ends up, from where we start. But when we sit down with people and get to just be with them as they reflect and name names, it is so much fun to see people just well up with joy and gratefulness. And that's what we just got to witness again, man. So, I love it.
So in that spirit, I'm so thankful for you too. And specifically through this, and thank you, Mr. Evers, for what you've created for this to happen and to go out there. But even outside of this, and most of y'all might not know this, but I have much respect for both of them. And even today, our SRO that's here is bragging on Matt Paris. And so we have someone that was a product of his teaching
That's right.
that now is serving this school today through being an officer.
That's right.
And then Mr. Sawsville here, who in my home is called Uncle Paul,
True story.
who poured into my daughter and in my own life. And so thank you, gentlemen, for what you do
Amen.
each and every day.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Amen.
We appreciate you. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.